Hey, friend. So good to see you. Happy Wednesday. I hope you are having a really great start to the week and kind of bringing in your full energy. I would love to say hello. I would love for you to join me and Jeff and Shelby and Giacomo, although he's feeling a little under the weather, and Liz and Kelly by putting your fingers on that keyboard and saying hi in the chat. If you are listening to this on your favorite podcast network while you walk the dog or fold the laundry or do some chores around the house, just know that we're saying hi to you too. We're sending you a little digital airwave through technology to say a big hello to you as well. If you're new here, we're a really fun bunch. And just like you're going to be getting a ton of tips and tricks and tactics from me, you are also going to be getting a lot of tips and tricks and tactics by everybody who is live with us in the chat and everybody who contributes afterwards with their resources or, hey, I forgot to mention something, or, oh, I found a link to that article that I wanted to add. So if you are ever in doubt, you can always come back to the comments section or the show notes on the podcast, and we will include all the helpful links that have been compiled during today's session. I am so glad that everybody is here today and took time because boy, oh boy, I'm glad to see Brendan coming in from Niagara Falls and David from Charleston. I'm just so happy to see everybody here today because this is one of my favorite subjects to talk about. And it is my favorite subject to talk about because it's a little bit nerdy. And I love kind of nerding out and going down the rabbit hole on topics that I think are really relevant and important and really something that we should be paying attention to. And it is very scary for most people. So I love digging into the scary stuff because any sort of motivational poster that you see will tell you that all of the good things in life happen outside of your comfort zone. They happen when you are at the top of the mountain after you have heaved and hoved and gotten your way to the top. The best things are after the struggle. So what does that mean? It means if we are feeling uncomfortable, if we are feeling a little awkward, if we're feeling a little cringe, we're probably in the right place because that probably means that growth and making ourselves better is right around the corner. So that is exactly where we want to pinpoint ourselves today. So today's session is a little bit different. So normally we talk with an expert, which we're going to be doing next week, rest assured. But this session is going to be a mini workshop all around the power of video. Why am I doing this today? Well, I'm doing this today for a couple of reasons. One, you know me, I'm always on my soapbox about regenerative AI and how I think that AI is really coming for us fast and furiously and what that's going to do to our careers, to business, to the workspace. And I was pretty excited that LinkedIn agreed with me to the point that they said, okay, Kim, we totally think that we should partner on a short nano learning program. The whole program is 12 minutes long because we all know that everybody's attention spans are about big. So we don't want to make it too long, like 15 power-packed minutes, all about why video is important, tips to start using it immediately, and tactics to make sure your efforts are going the distance. And so, it's one thing to kind of like be on top of the mountain shouting and shaking your fist about something. And it's another thing to have a big company like LinkedIn be like, you know what? We actually agree with you. We're on board with that. So that's always a sign that all of us are in the right place. So as Jeff so eloquently put it, get comfortable with the discomfort. That's where the growth is. And he is so right. That is exactly where the growth is. So without further ado, let's hop in to all the goodness when it comes to the power of video. So little workshop agenda, what we're going to be doing today, meet Kim. Boom. We've already done that in the first 5 minutes. I am going to nerd out with you a little bit on why I feel that video is so important at this moment that we are in right now. We are going to talk about how to find an audience, who you are speaking to or who you want to speak to. We're going to talk about my favorite tips for making a video. I know it's cringe. I know you don't want to do it. We will tackle all of that. We're going to go over some sort of posting no-nos, like common mistakes that I see. And I'm just like, no, don't do it. And then I'm going to let you in on a little insider secret that I have been seeing on the LinkedIn platform quite a bit. And then, of course, as always, any questions that you have as I'm going through this, jump in because I want to know what your questions are in real time so that we can tackle them together. First and foremost, I would love to get a temperature check of everybody who's in the room right now with us live. Or if you're watching this on the replay, you can still participate. Have you ever posted a video to LinkedIn? Super easy. Yes or no. Yes, you've posted a video to LinkedIn. No, you have not posted a video to LinkedIn. Again, if you are listening to this on podcast form while you walk the dog or fold the laundry or do the dishes, you can simply answer in your mind if you have ever posted a video on LinkedIn. And for most of us, not everybody, but for most people, when I ask this to a group of individuals, I would say about 70-ish% of the time, the answer is no. The answer is overwhelmingly no. That no, people have not posted video on LinkedIn. There are always a few that have, and some of those are joining us today, like Britta, like Arasana. Hopefully I'm saying that right. You can correct me if I'm not. Darius has posted some videos. Good to see you. I'm glad you joined us from last week. Amin has also been posting some videos, but we have people like Ava who are like, no, I haven't. And I totally want to learn. And how do I even start? So just know that no matter what you answered, yes or no, you are in the right place because we are going to go through each of those things. And we are going to be like Jim, and we are hopefully going to start slowly but surely exercising this muscle of creating video and, most importantly, being brave enough to post it. Because I always say we can all create the video, but did you actually post it? Because those are two different things. So being brave enough to actually post it. Why am I on this soapbox? Why do I care? Why does this matter for you? This is where we are going to nerd out together. So bear with me while we go down the nerdy rabbit hole, which is my favorite place to be. Right now, actively, there are 1 billion with a B, members on LinkedIn. Over 200 countries are on LinkedIn. So what does that tell us? That tells us that there's a lot of people on this platform all day, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Time zones don't matter. There is always lots and lots of people on this platform. Really, really key. I love that Kelly added in this point. So true. LinkedIn is prioritizing video right now, which is definitely the case. So all the more reason that this is a very, very timely session because this is absolutely happening. So we have a lot of people on the platform, but a lot of people on the platform doesn't necessarily mean that all things are created equal. There's a lot of people, but there aren't a lot of people that are sharing. You've heard me say this stat before. I say it all the time because I always am like amazed by it. I mean, not amazed. I guess we're all, a little bit lurky sometimes. But what does that mean? That means 99% of the 1 billion people that are on LinkedIn are what I lovingly refer to as lurkers. They are lurkers. That means they are scrolling around on the platform. They are looking at stuff. They are researching people, but they themselves are not posting. Only 1% are actually posting. So that's great news for you because that means, hey, you don't have a lot of competition. I always tell people this. If we were having a raffle, okay, everybody's been to like a fundraiser that has a raffle. and I told you that the raffle tickets were $1 and there were 100 people in the room, but the prize was going to be $1 million. And then I told you that maybe only 2 people were going to buy raffle tickets. Well, you would say, well, hot dog, Kim, because it looks like I'm rocking out of here with $1 million because my odds are pretty good that I'm going to win. That is exactly what's happening on LinkedIn right now. So it is your time to shine on the platform. It is your time to figure out how exactly can I win the LinkedIn lottery, so to speak? How can I figure out really how I can elevate myself on this platform in a really interesting way? So you don't have a lot of competition. That's great news. Let's figure out how you can stand out. Well, lucky for us, LinkedIn puts out these stats. So we don't have to guess. LinkedIn provides these stats for us. And we know based on LinkedIn's own stats that video gets 5 times more engagement than text only post. And additionally, live broadcasts like this one see 24 times more interaction than pre-recorded videos. So all that to say, there's a lot of action happening on video, and it doesn't have to be anything that's extraordinary. We have people that are like, Kim, what is the best, video editing or stitching app? I love this question because I think this is where a lot of people get tripped up. I think a lot of people think about the bells and whistles, and I am just trying to get you in the game. So to use a soccer analogy, I don't need you to bend it like Beckham. I don't need you to score. I don't need you to run across the field and dodge 10 people and do a roundhouse kick straight to the corner. I need you to put on your cleats and get on the field. Okay. Bar is low. I need you to post a video. So I always say, don't worry about editing, especially if you're doing a simple 30-second take. Your own iPhone, just what's on iPhone. You can edit the beginning, crop a little bit at the beginning when you're setting up, crop a little bit at the end when you're hitting the end button, and that's it. Don't even worry about editing the middle, or we can talk about that, or in the chat you can share kind of some editing things that you might be using that's really helpful. But honestly, I always say in the beginning, simplicity is key. Just get yourself on the field. Just hit record, try to go for 30 seconds, get your point across quickly and succinctly. I think this is really important now because my spicy take is people are trusting text-based posts way less. Why? Because think about it. All of the AI, whether you are using ChatGPT or Claude or Gronk or any of these platforms, they can spit out LinkedIn posts, they can spit out newsletters, they can spit out any sort of short or long form text, no problem. But what can AI not do well? There's always going to be somebody in the chat that's like, but Kim, I've seen AI video. So have I. It looks like trash and you know it. So we can just tell, our human eye knows something's a little off, looks a little wonky. Is the person drunk? Like, what's going on there? And then somebody tells you it's AI and you're like, oh, that makes sense. So I say all that because for right now, video is one of the few ways that you can really show, yes, these are my thoughts. This is me sharing a thought. Not this is me and ChatGPT sharing a thought, although that's fine too, or me and Claude sharing a long form news article. It's just a little bit different. So I want to make sure that we think about how can we become an outlier? How can we stand out from the crowd? I know that all of us are maybe thinking about how to advance our careers or applying for new jobs or putting in for that promotion or trying to get higher paying clients. So we are always thinking about how can I stand out? How can I stand out? How can I differentiate myself? This is it, because as of right now, if you start posting 5 days a week on LinkedIn, which don't get me wrong, I would love that, and they're text-based only posts, somebody else might also be posting 5 days a week with text only post. And You could be writing it all yourself. They could be using AI. It's mano y mano. You know what I mean? Video at least gives you that little bit of an edge right now that you can stand out with your own personality and your own thoughts, and you know that it's authentically you. So I feel like it's a little bit of a spicy take because people are like, Kim, AI is not coming for us. It's not coming for us yet, but I think all of us want to stay not just ahead of the curve, but preferably like way ahead of the curve. Like I always say, like, I don't want to have like AI nipping at my heels. I want to have a car length distance. You know what I mean? I want to be a little more ahead than the AI so that I'm not feeling like, every 2 seconds, this thing is, coming to nip me. I'm so glad that Shelby answered this question. For anybody that's joining or watching that might be a little further ahead in their video journey, that Riverside and Descript do have some awesome editing capabilities. So Darius also said CapCut. I have a lot of friends that also use CapCut. Veed, I have used Splice for anybody that has heard of that one. It's very similar to CapCut. A lot of these, both CapCut and Splice, have free models that you can download. And then for all of like the extra cool stuff, I think you have to pay like, I don't know, $4.99 a month or something like that to the Apple Store. But again, I don't want everybody to get so caught up in the bells and whistles that they forget about just putting out video to start with. So all that to say, now is the time for video content. We are really pushing this so hard right now because it like this is the moment that you need to cannonball into the pool. So, but before we even think about making a video, we have to think about who the heck we are talking to. I did a post on this earlier this week that if you say, well, Kim, I'm talking to everyone, like that sign in The Lion King where it's like Mufasa being like, as far as the eye can see, this is your land. Not true. I'm not Mufasa. You are not Simba. You are not speaking to everybody. You do not rule the animal kingdom. We do not want that. So going with that analogy, I want you to just speak to the parrots. You know what I mean? Lions are cool, like the elephants. Giraffes are fun. We don't want to talk to all of them. We want to focus on who are we talking to, because we cannot talk to everyone. If we talk to everyone, we are actually talking to no one. And this is a huge point in psychology. I'm sure you have seen that article where it talks about this sort of group think, and you've seen it on emails. I know that I actually have a theory about this. It's kind of a joke, but it's not really a joke, that I say I never want more than 4 people on an email, because then it never gets done. Because if I put you on an email and it's me and it's you and it's Darius and it's Jeff and it's Ava and it's Giacomo and it's Tom, and then they say, well, what time do you want to meet? Or who's going to turn it in? I don't answer because I'm like, well, there's 6 other people. I'll let Jeff answer. And what does Jeff do? Jeff says, I'm going to let Giacomo answer. And before you know it, it's been 3 days and nobody answers the email. So same concept here. If you talk to everybody, you are actually talking to nobody. So how do we figure out who we should be talking to? This is my magic grid for figuring out who we should be talking to. First, you need to think about, who am I trying to help? So I would say if you work in sales, maybe you are helping other people in sales. If you work in marketing, maybe you are speaking specifically to people in marketing. If you are in engineering, maybe you're speaking directly to engineers. Figure out who you are speaking with. Or if you don't want to go by career, maybe you're speaking to young people that are just graduating college. Maybe you're speaking to people that are going to retire in the next 5 years. Maybe you're speaking to people that this is their first job. So figure out who you are talking to. Then as we move clockwise on the graph, the next thing we're going to figure out is, what is that person struggling with right now? So again, put that thought in your head. Think about who we're thinking of and what they might be struggling with. So if I'm focused on people that are graduating college, their biggest struggle right now is probably, it's April. I graduate in May. Where the heck am I going to work? Where am I getting a paycheck from? So that's probably a huge struggle for them right now. How am I getting a job? How am I negotiating my salary? Where am I going to live? That's just an example. If you work in sales right now, you might be thinking, okay, the economy is a little touch and go for a lot of us right now. Who's buying my product? What are their biggest concerns? Are they worried about budget cuts? Are they worried about tariffs? Are they, what is that person struggling with right now? So the age old saying, really put yourself in their shoes. What is that person struggling with? What are they staying up at night, talking to their friend, talking to their spouse, talking to someone they know, saying like, this is really stressing me out. This single issue or these 3 issues are really stressing me out. Get in that mindset. And then the last thing you want to focus on is, what do they actually care about? What is really something? So you can be stressed about a lot of things, okay? But at the end of the day, what do you actually care about? So again, using our person that is graduating from high school soon college soon and looking to get their first job, they might be struggling with, well, what do I want to do? And do I want to go into marketing or do I want to go? But what they actually care about is like, I need to find a job. Okay. So there's nice to haves and then there's like need to haves. So you can be struggling with lots of big esoteric issues, and it's good to know what those are too, but also like, what do they really care about? What is something that gets them engaged, gets them excited? So when you think about all these things, then you're in your sweet spot. That is the type of content that you need to be producing. And I love that Jim puts in this reference here. He says, one of the first things I learned while working in radio is that when you open the mic, you speak to one person. And that is so true, exactly in LinkedIn posts as well, and in content in general. You are speaking to one person. So again, you can make that person up. You can call them Joe Schmo, who's 35 years old, working in marketing and wanting to get a second job or wanting to get a third promotion. You can keep that in mind and create videos that feel like you're talking to your friend. You're talking to your friend Joe. You're giving him a tip. You're giving him a tact. You're giving him some kind of helpful piece of information. In terms of the best format to use for video, I always tell people the best format, if you are starting off, is simply on your iPhone or whatever phone you have, Samsung, etc., in vertical form, because vertical is how most platforms such as LinkedIn, such as Instagram, such as TikTok, that is how you consume video. Now, there's always going to be someone that's like, but what about YouTube? Again, we can get there. I am just trying to get people over the hump to start creating. And that means vertical, just on your phone, 1080p, HD, nothing crazy, nothing revolutionary. Just set it up and hit record. That is going to be your very best first step. The best thing you can do to find out, again, who that person is, who we're talking to, is to find 3 people on LinkedIn. This is a little bit of homework for you to do maybe over the next couple of days or over the weekend. I want you to find one person that you admire on the platform. This could be somebody that you've worked with or somebody that you haven't worked with. Could be a leader in your industry. It could be anybody, but just someone that you think like, yeah, that person's doing some cool stuff. I really admire what they're doing and what they're putting out there. Then I want you to think of one person that you've actually worked with. So you know this person, you worked with them, you know them very well. And then the last thing I want you to do is think about one person you would love to work with. So this could be somebody that you've heard about. This could be somebody at a company that you are excited about. Think about those people, because again, we're going to come back to this, because what we're going to do is we're going to go through that thought exercise. Is that when we think about each of these people, we're going to think about, what do they care about? What are they stressed about? What are they excited about? What do they want to sit out and look up and read about? So we're going to focus in on those three people. So as we're thinking about who these people are, now we have to start thinking about actually making a video, right? Now we're like, the rubber meets the road. It's time to make the video. This is when we're really doing it. So I always say tip number one, start strong. Make it interesting in the first 3 seconds. As I said before, our attention spans are this big. So we cannot have one of those like, hi, hey, so I went to this conference last week. I'm lost, asleep, I've scrolled, I've moved on. Okay. There's all sorts of little tips and tricks that you can start with a powerful punch. I always say start with what you think people are going to be excited about. So if you want to talk about that example where I just said you went to a conference, you want to talk about like one tip or one big takeaway that you learned, start strong. Start by saying, I went to the marketing conference last week, and I'm going to tell you the top 3 things that I learned in 60 seconds or less. I love this. You've just told me exactly what I'm getting, which is 3 tips. You told me I only have to hang around for 60 seconds, and you told me that you went when I didn't. So I'm just going to copy your homework because I didn't go and you did. So you want to start strong and make it interesting really quickly, as fast as possible. And I'm glad that Kelly brought this up as well. She said, I've heard from so many people that they appreciate authentic videos. They don't expect you to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be a Steven Spielberg creation. I know a lot of us go into this analysis paralysis where we think, oh, Kim, well, I've got to have things flying around the screen and it's got to be edited and emojis and shortcuts, and just relax. We all, Kelly is so right. We all value authenticity. And again, think about it like you're talking to a friend. Perfect example. My friend Helene came over yesterday, and the minute she opened the door, I went up to her and was like, oh, I have so many things to talk to you about. Okay, first of all, this happened at my work. Second of all, can you believe this? I just kind of launched into it. I was excited to talk to her, and I just kind of she didn't open the door and I say, hi, good to see you. Glad you came over. What's new with you? No, I brought the energy. So it's the same thing when you're thinking about video. Is like you're excited to talk to your friend. You can make up a name for them, whoever they are. Like you are excited. You are authentic. People can feel that. People know like, oh, this person is like stoked to tell me this one tip or one trick or one thing they learned at the marketing conference. That is a huge one. So second, keep it engaging. Less than a minute. If you can add captions in one of these platforms, maybe you're using CapCut, maybe you're using Splice, maybe you're using, even LinkedIn now has an option when you upload the video that you can simply click a little button. It's like a little check mark, and you can add closed captioning. Click that button, add closed captioning, because a lot of people might be scrolling around, watching video, and they don't have their sound on. So they're just going to read what you're saying, and that's enough. So don't worry about, oh, I have to like make all this happen. If you can do it, great. If you can't, that's okay too. And remember, less than a minute, preferably for your first couple, keep it to like 30 seconds, short and sweet. Don't try to tell a full story. We don't have to have like the Iliad with multiple chapters. Just boom, the one tip you learned at the marketing conference, the 2 best tips that you heard about this week, whatever it is. I feel like that is a huge one. I'm glad that Kelly brought up this tip as well. She gives a resource, which is Mike Seltzner from Social Media Marketing World. And he starts all of his videos with questions based around the topic of the video. So if his video is about, let's use the example of Instagram Reels, he'll say, hey, do you want to learn about Instagram Reels? Then the viewer either says to themselves, yes, and in which case they're excited to watch the video, or they say no and they scroll on by because your video wasn't going to resonate with them anyways. So thank you for sharing that, Kelly, because that's such a good one. So a great, easy template for you to steal to start off your videos with. Very, very easy. And I'm glad that so many of us are already using the closed captioning. That's such a game changer. Again, not only for those that might be impaired from an auditory sense, but again, those just who might not be watching or listening with their headphones turned on. Last but not least, my third favorite tip for creating video is relaxing about the metrics. Holy moly, friend, do I get so many messages about the metrics, but I only got 3 likes, but I only got 1 like, but did anybody watch it? But did it resonate? Was Rome built in a day? Absolutely not. Your video is not going to go viral on the first try. If it does, message me. I will send you a trophy. I am proud of you. But most of us are not going viral on the first day. Spoiler alert, doesn't happen on the second day, or the third, or the fourth, or the fifth, or the sixth usually. It requires repetition. You have to keep going over and over again to really start to get the hang of it. You have to get a feel for video. You have to get comfortable. Anything new that you do in life, you are not going to be perfect right away. And I always think it's so funny because if I were to ask somebody to, oh, great example. I was just talking about my friend this the other day. She was saying how she's not a great cook. And she's like, I really need to like practice cooking because, I feel like we're just eating the same things over and over again. And she's like, I think I'm just going to commit to like trying to cook. And she has a husband. So she was like, oh, and I have to just tell my husband, like, tonight's dinner might be burned. And she was sort of making a joke of it, but she was like, yeah, like I will probably end up burning like 3 casseroles. Like I already know that I'm going to mess up. Something's going to be too salty. Like something's going to be too sweet. I'm going to measure wrong. It said tablespoon. I thought it said teaspoon. And she had so quickly accepted that she was going to fail. And so it's interesting because we have things like cooking where if I asked you to cook a gourmet meal right now, you would be the first one to tell me like, oh, Kim, I can't cook a gourmet meal. Like, I mean, I'll give it a go. Maybe half of it turns out okay, but the other half is going to be crazy. And yet, and we're so forgiving to ourselves, right? Like we're so like, we laugh about it. We're like, oh yeah, like I couldn't cook. But for some reason, and I don't know why, but video seems to be one of those things. We're very, very hard on ourselves. There's like no laughing. There's like no, it's like, but the video wasn't perfect, but my video was weird, but I had a weird voice, but my hair was doing something weird, but I talked too long and I said the word and like we're so critical of trying new things when it comes to social media, when it comes to LinkedIn, when it comes to video. We're so critical. But if I gave you another example like cooking, you wouldn't be critical at all. You'd be like, oh, well, whatever, it is what it is. So I think Liz puts it so well here that, long-term consistency beats short-term intensity, which is a brilliant Bruce Lee quote. So yes, you're going to have to, just like I was telling my friend, you're going to have to try cooking for a month and be willing to burn 10 casseroles. Yeah, you got to make 10 videos on LinkedIn and, be willing to say, all right, 4 of them I didn't really like, but I put them out anyway. So you got to start somewhere. And the only way you're going to start is if you make time to start. Because a lot of people will join sessions or listen to podcasts or download courses or listen to live events. And I hate to tell you this is the easy part. Like listening to a podcast, joining a live, this is easy. This is just you kind of sitting back and consuming. The hard part is going to be tomorrow or 2 days from now or 3 days from now when I'm asking you to block off time in your calendar, which I would love for you to do right now. Actually block off 30 minutes in your calendar. And I say 30 because you're going to want to like set up your phone. You're going to want to probably do it a couple times. Maybe you edit the beginning and the end a little bit to cut out from where your hand is going back and forth to the phone. Blocking out 30 minutes and actually doing it is another thing altogether. So really just try to make that time for yourself. You've heard me say it time and time again. I'm such a fan of copying other people's homework. I am a visual learner. I'm sure you know this, but there's lots of ways to learn. You can visually see like 2 + 2 is 4. Some people are auditory learners where they say, someone can say 2 + 2 is 4 and they can kind of picture it in their head. Some people are tactile learners where they say like, oh, I learn best by writing notes, writing out 2 + 2 = 4. So whatever it is, I always say, I think it's really nice when you can see other people and get an idea of what you can maybe copy or borrow or get inspiration from, like as Kelly was saying earlier with that example from Mike at Social Media Marketing World, like starting out with a question. These are great ways to learn. So if you are like me, I want to offer up 3 of my favorite video creators on LinkedIn that I think would be really easy and simple for you to look at. The first one is Jefferson Fisher. He is really smart because he doesn't do double the work. So he posts a ton on Instagram. And instead of just letting things stay on Instagram, he takes that video straight on over to LinkedIn. So you will notice that the editing and even the captions that he uses, it is not just eerily similar to Instagram. It is Instagram. He just downloaded the video. He recorded it via Instagram, used all their tools for editing, and then downloaded it and also put it on LinkedIn. So that is also a choice for anybody who's looking for editing apps. You could use TikTok or you could use Instagram and simply download the videos and upload those to LinkedIn if you so chose. Another one is Selena Rizvani. If you have seen her videos on LinkedIn, you know how great she is. If you haven't, highly recommend that you check them out. And the last one is Jessica Chen, who also makes some amazing videos right here on LinkedIn. So again, I love copying people's homework. You might love copying people's homework too. I just feel like sometimes seeing those examples and being able to maybe take inspiration or, copy their opener or copy their closer is such a great way to start out, especially if you're just starting. So don't worry about editing heavily. I know we've gotten questions about that. All 3 of these people, you will see, they don't focus so much on the bells and whistles. So they are just simply, stating 1 or 2 tips, minimal, if any editing at all, and pushing it out on the platform, which I think is so wonderful. So again, we will include those links in the show notes, but I think that those are really helpful for you to see and experience what other people are doing on the platform. Next up are big no-nos. So things that I see when people are creating video and I just think, no, like, please, whatever you do, don't do this. And the first one, which we talked about already, but it's such a good point that I just want to double down on it. Do not make the video all about you. A simple way that you can do this is make your video, and when you're watching it back, see if you use the language that starts with I, or see if you use language that starts with you. So again, in that example that Kelly brought up earlier, where Mike starts off the videos by saying, do you want to learn about Instagram Reels? It feels like you're talking to me, because remember, we're looking at our phones. So it feels like this person is saying, Kim, do you want to learn? And I'm sitting here going, yes, yeah, I do. That's me. I do. Whereas if you use I language and you say, I think you should know these 3 things about Instagram Reels, your first impression might be like, Well, who are you? And how do I know that my values align with you? The three things that you think I should know, maybe I don't want to know them, or maybe they're too advanced for me, or maybe they're too basic for me, whatever it is. So really think about, again, who is that other person? And not only creating content for them, but really positioning it in a way that you are speaking to that other person. So we don't walk into somebody's house and say, oh, I think that, XYZ. We might say, oh, like, what are you up to these days? What are some things that you learned? And really starting it and making it feel like a conversation. So as you're sharing tips and tricks and tactics in these videos that you're creating, want you to really keep in mind, what is something that someone might share in passing later on at a dinner party, in a meeting? What is that thing that they're going to say, hey, you know what? I heard at that marketing conference last week that ChatGPT has another version that's coming out at the end of May. And the other person goes, oh, really? I hadn't heard that. And it's a video that you saw on LinkedIn where somebody had said, hey, do you want to know the latest about OpenAI? Do you know that they have another version coming at the end of May? So that little quick tip, quick tactic, or whatever it is, it easily is transferable for that other person. I think that that is huge. And it's one of those things that people don't pay attention to enough when they just start posting. The second one is posting without a clear goal. So another piece of homework that I would like you to think about over the next couple hours or couple days or over the weekend is, what is the point? So again, we do this in other areas of our life. If I just told you to do push-ups, you'd think to yourself, well, I'm only going to do push-ups if I want to get really strong arms, or I'm only going to do a bunch of sit-ups if I want to have a six-pack. If I don't want to have a six-pack, or I don't care about a six-pack, why would I be doing a bunch of sit-ups? I would. So really think about, like, why am I doing this? Like, is it you are an entrepreneur and you are a consultant and you want to get more clients? Is it that you are hoping to get a new job, so you're trying to grow your network? Is it that you're trying to get a promotion, so you want people at your company to see, your elevated presence online? Is it that you want to be thought of as a thought leader? So really think about, why would you be posting video? Like, what is the point of you doing that? Because what I never want you to do is do work for either A, no reason, or B, a reason that's not actually going to benefit you. So I want you to do the work. I want you to put in effort for things that are actually going to help you, that are actually going to make a difference in your life. Because if not, why would you do it? That makes zero sense. So really think about that. And the last thing I want to share today is a bit of an insider secret that you can think about as you are really contemplating video on the LinkedIn platform. And that is, and you might have already seen this, there is a video tab on the LinkedIn platform now, specifically on mobile. So if you go to your phone and you open up your LinkedIn app, I'm going to do it right here while I'm talking to you, you will see the bottom screen. It says home. And then next to home, you will see a little icon that says video. If you press that icon that says video, you will see, are we shocked? Video. No, but really, you will actually see video on there. But that is not what I want you to pay attention to. What I want you to pay attention to on that tab is the top part of the tab. So there will be a top part right around where it says suggested. Next to suggested, it will have little topics that are trending or being featured right now. This is perfect for anybody who is listening or joining us today that says to themselves, but Kim, I don't know what to post about. I don't know what to say. Well, here are some great cheat sheet examples that LinkedIn has said. here are some ideas for you to post about. So there's all different, I'm just looking at mine right now. There's Excel hacks. There's the best OpenAI things, job hacks, unspoken corporate rules, supercomputers, what I wish I knew when I started my career. All these things are like a quick hit. If you are like our friend Amin, who said, but wait a minute, like the video tab doesn't appear in Canada yet. That's okay. If you are still wondering, well, I don't have this cheat sheet. I don't have this cheat sheet that gives me things and ideas to post about because it's not enabled yet in my country. That is okay. I have already thought of this plan, and I actually have a resource, and you can go to whatdoipost.com. Pretty easy. Whatdoipost.com. And when you fill out your email on that page, I will send you, I think it's like 30 different ideas of things to post about. So it's like 30 thought starters. So again, no one can tell me like, oh, I don't know what to post about, because now I've given you two resources. One that you can easily see on LinkedIn, but okay, people like Amin might have like an excuse that they can't use that one. Well, now I give you a second one, and there's no excuses on that one because I've worked on giving you 30 ideas that you can take and use of what you can post about. So those are great resources when you're thinking about what does it mean? What do I post about? And I'm so glad we went over this today because like Darius said, I wouldn't have even noticed that since I usually watch videos in the feed on my computer. So I'm so glad you said this, Darius, because a lot of people don't realize that the mobile experience on LinkedIn is different than the desktop. They sort of think, probably like you and like I used to, kind of all things are created equal. Like whatever I experience on my computer on LinkedIn is going to be the same that I experience on my phone or on my tablet on LinkedIn. Not the case. Not the case at all, my friend. What you experience on desktop versus what you experience on mobile and tablet is totally different. So I encourage you, if this is news to you, if you're like Darius and you're like, what? I had no idea. Homework assignment this weekend, play with the mobile or tablet portion of LinkedIn. I think you're going to learn a lot just by doing it. Like I said, when we first started, I partnered with LinkedIn because they also were like, you know what, Kim, there's something to be said about your crazy ideas with all of this AI and all of this text-based stuff. Maybe video really is the way to stand out. And we put together a super quick, it is literally 15 minutes max. I think it's actually more like 13 minutes. Quick hitting top hits for getting started. And it is called Crafting a Winning Video Content Strategy. I know it's a mouthful, but we are going to include the link in the show notes. We're also going to include the link in the comments, and you can also scan it on this QR code and check it out. I would love, love, love to know your thoughts on it. So any questions that you have, any follow-ups, because once again, I totally get what LinkedIn is saying, where they're just like, Kim, you know, we want to get people excited about this. And I'm already on my soapbox. Like I'm already nerding out 10 layers deep. So like I can go on for 45 minutes about this because I'm like in it. But they're like, listen, you know, for other people that are just like, does video even matter? Like we kind of got to capture them, and they're not going to go down the 45-minute rabbit hole. So let's start off with like 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 11 minutes. And I'm like, you know what? Agreed. So if you could do me a huge favor, if you could check this out and then let me know, A, what you think I missed, B, what you think I should dive deeper on, or C, what you want to cover more of, I would love to hear it. Because again, I don't know unless we have a conversation about it. So I know that we had a lot of questions that I tried to answer in real time as we were going through this. And I know that there's always people at the end that are like, I didn't know that I could ask questions like throughout the session. And I'm always like, but I told you that you could ask questions. So, but I also get it because there's times where I have a question or I don't have any questions. And then like 2 days later, or I'm in the shower later that day, or I'm on a run over the weekend and I'm like, oh, now that I'm thinking about it, what about XYZ? So if you're like me and that happens to you, I totally get it. You can always follow up either in the comments or DM me or message me or whatever it is, because that happens to me too. And I totally get it. Questions pop up. I love this question that Amit is asking, which is, would you recommend using a 1-minute video to promote a new podcast episode? Absolutely. So I always like to give a fishing analogy with this because I really think visualizing it is helpful. You want to really put all of the hooks in the water. You want to try to hook as many people to reel them on in and get them to commit to whatever, however long your podcast episode is, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it might be. So putting in those little 1-minute hooks, if you will, cool little tidbits. If somebody watches 1 or watches 2 or watches 3 and think to themselves, yeah, I really like that. Like, that's super interesting. Like, now I'm going to commit to the full thing. It's kind of like if you've ever gone to the grocery store or something, or I don't know, maybe like an event or a concert, and you have people that hand out the free samples. Love those free samples, especially if it's anything edible, like, oh, try this new cracker, try this new peanut butter, try this new yogurt. And it's like a little sample that you get in the store. And obviously the whole point is that you try the yogurt or you try the peanut butter or you try the cracker and you think, yeah, this is pretty good. Let me buy a whole bag or container or whatever it comes in. So that same concept of like, your podcast is the giant container of yogurt, but nobody's going to buy the giant container of yogurt if they've never had it before, because they might be like, that could be disgusting. And then I just paid $6.99 for a giant yogurt that I don't even like. So I 100% would encourage anybody to put out little 1-minute teasers, because that's kind of like your one little free sample of yogurt. And then people know, hey, I do like this yogurt. I'm going to commit to a giant vat of this yogurt in the form of your podcast. So absolutely, it helps people get to know you. And going back to the power of video and how you can use it for your career, I also like to say, especially if you are wanting to get a promotion or you are wanting a bigger job title or more money, a lot of times people say, well, I don't know if I could give Jeff the VP of sales role because, I don't know, like maybe he couldn't handle the heat. Maybe he couldn't do really amazing presentations. Maybe he can't think on his feet, whatever it is. If you start putting out video on the platform and people start responding and you're getting feedback, then all of a sudden your bosses can't say, well, maybe they can't perform, maybe they can't adapt, maybe they can't try something new, because you're proving them wrong. You're doing all of that right now in real time. They can see it. It's like that free yogurt sample. And they say, you know what? Wow. Like Jeff has been putting out video consistently. We see that he can think on his feet. We see that he can form really great quality, elevated thoughts and takes on what's happening in the industry. Like he's kind of proving it without the job title, without the raise, without the paycheck. And so we can see it before we commit to it. So I always think the power of video can never, ever, ever do you wrong, especially if you've had that goal in mind and really know the why around why you are creating video and why it's important for you. And so again, I could nerd out all day long on this subject, but the one thing that I will leave you with is none of this matters. The last 45 minutes that we've spent together do not matter unless you make time to actually do the work. Because it does not matter how many of these helpful sessions that you go to if you don't actually set up your phone and hit record. So, my homework assignment for everybody listening or joining us today is to actually block off time in your calendar. 30 minutes, hey, maybe even 45 minutes, who knows? Set up time. Maybe it's over the weekend, maybe it's this week, maybe it's next week when you're a little less busy. Whatever it is, take action and actually set up time to do the work, because if not, I know you're busy. You got a lot going on and you just won't do it. If this session has been helpful to you, you can get more content from me like this by following me on LinkedIn or hitting the bell to stay up to date about what is going on with these sessions, with these lives, with these interviews all the time. I'm so excited for next week's session. It is all about building confidence at work, which is going to be amazing, with Dolores, who is such an expert in this field. I think you're really going to enjoy her and enjoy it. And additionally, I want you to set up time on your calendar to make sure we had a reschedule with Doug Rose, who is going to talk about all things AI, which, as you know, I totally nerd out on. So you might be like me, nerding out on AI too, and trying to get ahead of the curve with all the tips and tricks. So his session is week after next, same time, same place, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. You can always go to getcoffeewithkim.com and we will send you a calendar invite so that you can hold it in your schedule, because I know you are busy. I know you have a lot going on, and I know you can't always join us live. You might watch it on the replay. You might catch it in podcast form, but whatever form you catch it in, just know I deeply appreciate you being here. I love learning alongside you. I love sharing tips and tricks and things that are working for me and working for you, and sharing that all together. I think that is so powerful. So a big thank you to everyone that was able to come in live: Jeff and Darius and Kelly and Ahmed and James and Salman and Marielle and just everyone. So loved learning alongside you today. It was really powerful as always. I hope to see you next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place. Once again, you can always go to getcoffeewithkim.com to get that calendar invite. Until then, my friend, have a beautiful rest of the week and a wonderful weekend. And I will see you next Wednesday. See ya.